The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing. Here's your host, Matt Hansen.
If you guys are listening live on AM 1230 WJOB and 104.7, we are doing we are moving into taping a lot of the podcasts live on the air. And part of the reason that I do that is that it keeps people moving. But really what it does is just gives me more time to blab. You know what I mean? Thank you. All right, let's get it started. You tell me when we're counting down to tape our podcast. Hey, ho, ho, ha, ha, key. She's counting down in 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, this is the Mastering Local Marketing podcast. If you have anything to do with trying to sell your stuff as your own company, if you're in a marketing department, or even if you're just kind of like understanding what marketing is and how it's changing, all you got to do is go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and listen to Mastering Local Marketing. It is the brainchild of one professor at Purdue Northwest, and that is Matt Hansen. Matt, thanks for coming in again.
I am always here. I love to share all these different ideas with these companies and get them on the right track. So let's do this.
We are broadcasting from Hammond, Indiana, but we get people that the fundamentals are the same. The fundamentals for marketing are the same. This is the 57th episode, and I find myself quoting you to clients. And I think that's dangerous.
That's the only plan I had starting this podcast, that you would quote me every single week. So I've accomplished my goal in only 57 episodes. We're good.
I went and talked to the Hobart coaches, like 20 coaches last night, and we set up a TV network, one of the first high school conference TV networks. And I'm trying to say, well, in our first year, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create awareness of watching the games, and then we want to create the second area where people are consider watching them, businesses consider making it a regular spend for them, and then ultimately once we got the fan or the business, then they're at the bottom of the funnel. I love the funnel. I love the awareness, and then consideration, and then the close. And I've had it quoted to me by a couple of people that listen to this podcast. So you are making a difference.
Well, that's good. I mean, again, I have lots of conversations every single week with people reaching out. We have a lot of people that have provided support. They ask questions. I've had a lot of requests to come and see different people, different groups. So yeah, I think we're touching on something that's a need. A lot of people forget about the small business owner, and really they don't have these large teams. They don't understand how marketing applies, all of the different things. So that's why we look at this each week, and we want to provide just one snippet of value that you could take back to your company after listening to each episode. And that's why we focus. We do have kind of a little bit of a script that we go on, but the idea is that literally we're going to talk about something today that you can take back, start to learn, and then apply as you go back to your business.
I'm going to go off script here for a moment, which doesn't surprise anybody.
Not at all.
But we are in the process of interviewing marketing firms.
Okay.
And I never been in that game. I know, and some of the bigger ones here. I think we're looking at one out of Indianapolis that kind of specializes in sports for our sports network. But I didn't realize there were so many out there, and I didn't realize my buddy has a business. He just signed a big one with a marketing firm, and I'm like, well, where are they placing all your they're not placing anything. They're just giving me the message and the material and the strategy. We still have to do all that other stuff. Just touch on that. If you're a small 1-person, 4-person, 10-person, you may not do this. But if you get a little larger, and you have, you're in a company that maybe has 50 employees or larger, I mean, where does the marketing firm that's going to do all this for you, where does it sit into the ionosphere?
I think you just described it. You described my typical agency customer. So I do a lot of work with creative agencies where they'll do the creative, the messaging, put the entire campaign together, but they don't actually go implement it. And that really is, you can have the greatest message in the world, but if nobody ever sees it, then it's not going to hit, right? So the idea of just creating creative and a story and then handing it back to you, I'm not saying that one agency is better than another or whatever, but that's where I hear it a lot. People come to me and say, I need to find the right customers, the right spots. Where are they? So as I sit down with small businesses, one of the very first things that we start to talk about is who is your customer or customers, right? Target markets, avatars, however you want to reference them. Who's that target market? Where can you find them? What are their habits, their media habits? When they wake up in the morning, are they having their coffee, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram? Are they checking their email? Are they going to a certain website? Are they checking the weather that morning? All these different things day in the life. So you really can understand where your message needs to be, right? So if I create the greatest marketing message ever and I put it in front of the wrong people, it's going to fail miserably. So there's two sides to it, right? There's really great storytelling, really great creative branding, all of that. But there's also the placement that you have to understand as well. So again, I love the fact that creative agencies just want to hand that over to Digital Helium and we take it and run with it. But realize that there's two parts to it.
And that both of those parts can cost some money.
Right.
And we're talking mostly to the small and medium sized business. Certainly the principles are the same for larger marketing departments. But one of the things that I took the Matt Hansen classes when I got my MBA is that you got to strategically place discounts, sales, BOGO offers. And what is just before we get into the specifics, small to medium sized business, when should they look at discounting?
Well, unfortunately, most of the time when discounting pops up, people are just thinking they need to stimulate sales. So right now, we're in the middle of July. Most small businesses are a little bit slow, right, because of summer and how things are. I get it that there are two sides to the story here, but maybe your traffic isn't really generating right now. And the first thing that people go to is, well, we need to have a sale. And what you don't realize is a sale by itself is not going to stimulate enough traffic through the door to really make a difference, right? So if you put out there a 15-20% sale, in the long run, what we're saying here is, are you boosting your numbers that walk through the door, your phone calls, so drastically that you're actually making additional money, right? It's a mathematical game. And I don't think people think about it to that extent. Many people just go, well, we got to have a sale. We got to get more people in here. And what they realize is, you may see a small uptick in people walking through the door, but if you're not tracking any of this data, you're not tracking the number of people that typically come in the door, typically call you on a day, and then we're running a sale. Now continue to track it. Did the uptick go up 50%? Did it go up 0%? Like, where are we? So there's these numbers that you have to look at, but I see it all the time where people will throw a sale and they'll say, oh, well, normally we do $1,000 a day in store. We did $1,100 today. Okay. Is that drastically different? Let's look at what how much the materials cost and everything else. So again, there's so much to go into it, but most people throw a sale when it gets slow and they don't think through all of it, right? So is it driving traffic? Really what we need to focus on if it's slow is not necessarily just the sale, but how do I get more people through that front door? How do I get more people to make that phone call at that point, and that's getting out there in front of the right people with the right message.
Let's use an example of a small to medium-sized business. I do another podcast called Calumet Painting, and we talk about home improvements. And every episode we do, the Ricardo Suarez, the guy who runs it, former fireman, says, listen, he's getting a lot of one-day baths. And he's like, listen, I can put you on the list right now, and we just go in order, but I'm about 2 months out. And he's like, if you can wait between November and April, when we're not outside painting houses, and give you a much timelier thing, and I can give you a much bigger discount, much better price. So is that an effective way of using the better price discount?
Yeah, the way you got to look at it is there are weeks where you are extremely busy. There are months that you are extremely busy, and there are weeks and months that you are slow. So the idea really is if you could sell, and let's just use $1,000 a day as a baseline just for numbers' sake, right? When we had the home decor business years ago, if we had $1,000 a day, that was normal. If we had a $2,000 day, that was great. But there were days where we'd have a $100 day. Those are bad. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get, if $1,000 is the baseline, how do we improve to $1,200 a day? Like, how do we get just that boost, that average across all 365 days out of the year? So we know that summer's going to be slow. We know that during the holidays are going to be through the roof. We know that January and February, like the first part of February, is always at the bottom. So we started focusing on summer, January. How do we boost some of those things? And they're smaller ticket items potentially, right? Or events that we're having that will drive people in. The holidays are over, New Year's is over. Everyone recuperates the first 2 weeks. They're all doing their health thing. And then they fall off, right? So, okay, do you do an event the second half of January, right? And get people out doing something there. So you got to look at all of the data that's out there. And I know a lot of people are saying that's a lot of work. It really is not a lot of work. We've talked about it before, is measuring just number of calls or number of people that walk in your door every single day, the number of orders or tickets that you take every day, and then the average order value. And you just keep track of those three numbers, and I'm telling you, you're going to understand your business so much better. Then you throw, you could throw an event, a sale, or whatever, but we're trying to average that out all the way across. So if you can get $1,000 average every single day for an entire year, that's great. If you can get it the next year up to $1,200 and $1,500 and so forth, that's what we're trying to measure. And when you throw a sale, think through all the things that go into it, and realize that it's not just a sale, but you have to understand the numbers behind it.
Well, also there is, many of the, in-house things that we're going to talk about also apply to websites and to your social media. Let's go to a couple of things that are salient here, a little bit more detailed, oriented. Color. Now, certainly, like you go into, I always like to look at Walmart and walk down the aisles. And it's usually black on white, and it's just informational. It's very clear. But every once in a while, there's a big red one.
Right.
What does that mean?
Yeah, well, so when I got my master's degree, I worked with the late, great Hugh Dawbeck, and we were doing a research project on color and its effects on the human interaction and really understanding what stands out. Right. And we all know that the reds, the oranges, the yellows, the hot colors are the ones that pop, that get our ideas or our eyes over. That's fine. When you start to look at fast food, think about it, right? So red and yellow is McDonald's. They want you to notice quickly. Even Burger King, Taco Bell took a drastic right turn one year and went purple
in there. Yeah.
But nobody owned purple, which is, the reason they went that way. But think of it in terms of the hot colors are to get you to look quickly, right? To get your attention, to grab it. When you do something more like a blue or a purple, it's more soft, right? So blue is more of a loyalty color, trusting, those types of things. I mean, if you look behind us, the logo is blue and kind of a beige, and that was done on purpose because it's all about loyalty and trustfulness, and we're providing value. Right?
And we're both actually wearing blue and beige. You know what? From now on, when we're doing the podcast, Adriana, remind me we're doing it. I always want to wear blue and beige just to match our beautiful logo.
You're going to want us to get shirts next. We got the mug, so
I do have a Mastering Local mark.
You know how much merchandise would sell, not only for this podcast, but just for you in general? The amount of money we would get from merchandising.
You know what? I do this podcast. He's my friend, and I'm learning at a very advanced age how to market because I have to in my business. But also, I'm learning that this is so exciting. And I know it sounds kind of odd for someone to say, all that really boring stuff you taught in the MBA classes that I thought, why am I taking this course? I'm applying every day. And now I'm doing a podcast about all that very boring stuff because I see how helpful it is for the American dream. Yeah. You have to have these fundamentals. And this is like, it has changed our business that I do this because I come out and I say, hey guys, we need to do X, Y, and Z. Hanson this, Hanson that. These guys are tired of hearing it.
I've heard that.
They are. It's not real until Hanson says it. Well, if it is what it is, let's also talk about phrases and how you're going to look at it, both online and in your store. We're coming up on the football thing right now, and we haven't, we need to do something, and we're looking to blow something up. Like, hey, we have a special for the fall here. Limited time offer is what we kind of landed on. Do you like that phrase?
I do, because the biggest thing with sales and limited time offers is the urgency. Really understanding that it's not going to be around. A lot of people will think, oh, yeah, right, like that's not going to go away. But one of the things I love to do is literally put that out there and say, okay, this deal is for 5-6 days. And even on a website, and I know we're talking about kind of like in-store today, but even on a website with a timer that ticks down to 0, I got one yesterday. I forget who it was from, but it was an email, and in the email it had a timer that was ticking down. I'm like, oh, I love this. And really what we're trying to say is it's going away. If you do it properly, it goes away. You let people know the offer is no longer available, but it may come back in the future, right? And maybe you come back with that at 3-6 months later and say, hey, the offer's back again. That's where people get excited. They'll jump back in. But stick to your guns on that. I think the urgency side, if people start to, I know we've talked about Menards in the past, and Menards with this 11% rebate sale that they do. When they first started that, it was like, oh, wow, people would get all excited about it and go buy a bunch of stuff. Now it feels like they do it constantly, right? It's lost its luster. It's there.
Mostly contractors.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's their thing. That's what they do at this point. But there's no urgency behind it anymore. Now I expect it when I go in there. I don't expect to, if I go into Menards, I'm not expecting to pay full price without the 11% rebate at this point. So, you've trained me that it's not a limited time offer anymore. I'm going to see it every single time I go in there. So that's what I mean by urgency, limited time offers, and those types of things.
How does that relate to the emotional trigger? Now you have, really there's two main areas. I remember this from the class. The urgency, which we just talked about, but you also get an exclusivity. And we sell that to some extent is, hey, you're in a special club and we'll lock you in at a price. We sell like, I think 3 for $30, which is 3 years. You can lock in $30,000 a year for your marketing, and we could be worth 60 or 100 next year. It doesn't matter. Right. You're still paying 30. You are in an exclusive club of 3 for 30s. So urgency versus exclusivity. how do you know when to apply that emotional trigger?
So exclusivity is more like your best customers, right? The ones that maybe you have customers that only buy on sales, but they've been loyal to you year after year. And I've done this with many companies where we'll reach out and talk to those customers and say, we've given you X number of % off or cash back or free gifts or whatever it may be every single year. And it's a personal sell, even at that point, right? So not everybody is getting that. And when I've worked on some pretty significant campaigns through my years. I've worked on small, I've worked on large, but I'm going to take this all the way up the ladder right now. And when I start talking about Fortune 500 clients and looking at them, they would have 5 million emails that they would send out. But then the very next email that went out was to, let's say, 27,000 people, which is a drastically different email. It was based on loyalty. It was based on past purchases. It was based on a variety of factors. So only this small little segment was getting this deal, and it was based on data points that we had. How does that relate back? Well, if you look at a small business and you say, okay, we have our 80-20, 80% of our business comes from 20% of our customers roughly, you start to look at that and go, okay, out of those best customers, who are the ones that are consistently coming back? Who are the ones that are prone to discounts, right? And I'm going to identify them, and I'm going to continue to give them what they want because they keep coming back over and over and over again. So if we focus on that, if we understand that people, they react in a similar way, it's hard to change personalities. We identify the personalities that are most prone to that, but the exclusivity is interesting because it almost elevates your status from a customer standpoint to say, well, I got this discount, you didn't get this, right? I'm going to take advantage of that because I get it, and you don't get it, and this person doesn't get it, so I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to make sure that I continue to get these perks, right? And that's what it's really seen as a perk, even though it's just a discount and you have to buy anyway.
Let's just one more thing. Let's do the symbols and where you like to go. I mean, a couple of ways of giving this sale or discount is one is a percentage, 20, 10%, whatever it might be. Another one is a dollar amount. Save $100 on a new heater right now if you're an HVAC guy, which I like to use a lot. And then there is more of a retail thing where you buy one and get another one free. Now, I think Walgreens is just very famous on buy one and get the second one on half off. But BOGO or half BOGO, those are three of the main ways of doing it and using those symbols. How do you apply each one of those?
Yeah, you have to understand your customer base, right? So my wife and I will go shopping, and I remember there was this one shoe store, and they had a kind of a clearance section, but it was percentages, and they wouldn't put the dollar amount on there. So she was always asking me, this is 40%, how much is this? This is 20%, how much is this? So she was looking at the shoe, she was looking at the percentage, but she was asking me, because I could do math really quick, and it's not hard math, but like instantly was telling her what the price was. Something like that, a percentage off is great, but she was more focused on the dollar amount, how much it was going to cost. So it wasn't the percentage that was driving her, it was the dollar amount. So she's focused on how much is the final cost. If your customers are focused on percentages and getting that better deal, right, that 15, 20, 30, 40, 50% deal, you have to understand where they're at. If it's the buy one, get one, that seems like you're getting something for free, right? Even though it's still essentially kind of just a discount, right? So you have to understand the mindset of your customer before you put any of those out there. But a percentage, it's not like you can't hold the percentage, right? Whereas if you tell them that they got $5 off or $10 off, they know that they're saving that $5, that $10 and putting it back in their pocket. Or they're getting a new, like buy one plus you're getting another one. they're getting something tangible that they can hold on to. So you have to understand, I would test all of them, and I would understand what your customer base typically responds better to, and then play off of that. But I can tell you, I've gone through this with my own family, and as somebody that knows marketing, it's intriguing to me to watch, because even my kids are different in how they respond to different things. So I would just test all three, percentage, dollars off, and then buy one, get one, just to really kind of see what your customers respond to, and then take that moving forward.
We're up against the clock, but I just want to bring up one example. One of our customers here at the radio station and the streaming sports video, Jed TV, is Easy Clean Car Wash right down the way here. And I patronize them, and I buy a monthly pass for $19.99. Now, they have recently come out with, if you buy one at $19.99, your second car or your third car could be $9.99.
Okay.
So buy one, and every other car that's registered in your name can go at $9.99 as many times as they want. It's a great deal, because I've got basically 3 cars, and I was not always buying a car wash for kind of the older car, so I was just buying the $19.99 and $19.99 and not washing the last one. So for the exact same price, I can now include that third car.
Yep.
And I don't know if that is, going to bring in new business, but it's going to let me do more with the same amount of money. How do you like that kind of sale?
Yeah, I mean, you can get creative with that. I always wondered, because I've seen those deals. I don't subscribe to any of them. But, one, it's a subscription model, so they don't have to worry about getting your money or you having to come in and pay anything every single month. The second is, it's a little bit of an upsell, right? I mean, you could do it a variety of different ways. So they have it, one car is one price, the second car is another price. You could also then say, all right, a full family of cars could be this price. I mean, there's a million different ways you could do that. But again, I'm seeing a lot more people doing the subscription models and things like that. I think it works really well. Actually, one of my first jobs was at a car wash when I was in college. So the subscription model, it worked really well. But it's intriguing. I mean, the discounts, let's face it, they're selling water and a little bit of soap. So, if you go in there, I don't know how often you wash your car.
I go every 2 days.
Okay. So I will tell you that when I worked at the car wash, I washed it every single day and I rubbed the paint off. So don't go too crazy. But
they got better paints now.
I hope so.
Yes. He's Van Hansen. This has been the episode number 57 of Mastering Local Marketing, talking about sales, using the colors, the words. We didn't get to everything. We'll put the outline in the words below the podcast, and you can get it at Apple, Spotify, all sorts of places. It's called Mastering Local Marketing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Until next time, see you later.
The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.